Alright, so this video is for the people who have struggled a lot in their past with like mental health, depression, and anxiety, and all sorts of crap that was caused by their past and are seeking to improve themselves every single day. See, I have a question for the people who are trying to accomplish their goals of, getting better, healing from their past. And that question is, are you truly healing? Or I'm one of those people, and so am I truly healing? See, so one of my first questions, I'm going to go over a few things that I just want you to ask yourself in this video. I just want you to see, are you truly healing, or is it all just in your head? Let me just ask you guys a few things, all right? So first of all is depression and momentary sadness are not the same thing, but do you know the difference? See, back in 2023, I dealt with a whole lot of family drama and everything that made me depressed. I was worried nonstop. I was just genuinely depressed. Anybody who's actually suffered from depression completely knows what I'm talking about. Every single night, I never slept. I never wanted to eat. My stomach was in knots every single day of my entire life. My hands were sweating to hell and back from the anxiety and everything. But now I sometimes have nights where I just don't sleep and I get in my head way too much, but it's not consistent. I still, at times, wake up motivated to do something. I want to get things done. I want to go into full grind mode, into my self-improvement journey. I genuinely want to get better, but that's not who I was back in 2023, and I keep on going back to that, and that makes me feel like I'm actually, possibly healing. However, that's not to say that I feel like I've healed completely. That's just saying that I'm not in the same position that I was back then. See, to me, there's a difference between depression and just like momentary sadness or momentary depression, whatever you would choose to call it. See, for me, I get sad. I even cry some nights, to be completely honest with you, about my past, about worrying, about overthinking and everything. But that's not consistent, like non-stop, full-blown depression. Like, to me, that's not the same thing. That tells me that I've come a pretty long ways from where I was back then. But when I say that I've come a long way, that doesn't mean that I've healed completely. See, I still suffer a lot with overthinking. Literally everything you could possibly think of, I overthink it. I also have severe trust issues with a lot of people, which is why I don't really talk about my past much with anybody. In fact, hardly anybody knows anything about my past, and they probably never will, because I constantly have trust issues because of the scars in my past. And as much as I'd like to trust people, I simply don't. But I'm going to elaborate more on that for another video. But yeah, I feel like anyone who's completely healed from their past, can start like not overthinking everything and start trusting more people again. But that's just not me. I still have these nights where, I just overthink everything. And speaking of sleepless nights, is my past still scares the hell out of me. See, I am not to a point where I can accept my past, but it's more like a thing where I just try not to think about my past. See, I just try not to, think anything about it. I try not to see things. I try not to say things or do anything that would remind me of my past. That way I can continue my journey of, getting better, leveling up, and not just sitting there dwelling in negativity. And speaking of dwelling in negativity, I'm always doing that. My stepdad always says that I'm a glass half empty kind of guy, and I'm not going to deny that a single freaking bit. I am very much that way, and that's another sign, I feel like, from the scars of my past. My mind is not programmed to think like any positivity, but that's something else. I feel like I'm starting to get that back. I feel like I'm starting to think of more positivity in things, and I feel like that's another sign of truly healing. Maybe not completely, because it'll be many years before I heal completely, and as a matter of fact, I don't know if I ever will, but hopefully I will. My main purpose right now is to level up every single day to get 1% better, to accomplish my goals, because whether or not you completely heal from your past or not, chasing your dreams and accomplishing your goals will absolutely help with that factor. But yeah, something else I wanted to talk about is I feel like I can't just forget about my past, but I need to learn to accept it. And I want to know, have you learned to accept your past, or are you like me and just try to forget about it? Because I feel like if you've accepted your past, you're further in your healing journey rather than just not trying to think about it. I feel like me, I just try and dodge anything that has to do with my past because that just reminds me of my past and the scars that come along with it. And so I feel like that makes me not as far along in my healing journey as someone who can just genuinely accept their past and move on from it. And so I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's just my opinion on the situation. But a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, how am I actually planning to level up my game every single day? And when I say get 1% better, well, I literally mean getting 1% better. And that's because on my TikTok, you can go follow that, by the way. I basically document my journey of just leveling up every single day, chasing my dreams, accomplishing goals, motivating others. That way I'm doing something productive with my life rather than just sitting there and dwelling on the negativities and the things from my past that aren't going to change. But yeah, overall, I just feel like documenting my journey to success on TikTok and getting 1% better every day is a great way for me to start seeing the positivities in things instead of dwelling on the negatives. Because if I'm just not doing anything with my life, all I'm going to do is dwell on the negatives. And therefore, if I'm dwelling on the negatives, I'm never going to heal from those negativities and those things that I've suffered throughout my life, And I just feel like that's one piece of advice that I can actually give and say, whether or not I genuinely want to make a video at the time or not, it's still a distraction from my past. And not just a distraction, it's also helping you to let things out into the open, to get things off your chest, and also to help others. And I just feel like, what could go wrong when you're doing that? You're distracting yourself, you're motivating others, and you're, maybe getting some things off your chest, hopefully at least. But yeah, overall, I feel like recovering from your past genuinely starts with you. You need to make the decisions that allow you to genuinely get better and recover. Because see, if you're just sitting at home and just looking over old text messages like I've done so many times, trust me, I've done this crap, you're never actually going to heal. You can't change the past. You can't get into a freaking time machine and leap into the past and change it. Because trust me, if that were possible, I'd have done that a hell of a long time ago. But unfortunately, you can't. So you just have to control the future. You can't change the past, but you can control the future. And that's something I just made a TikTok video about just the other day that I'm hoping will motivate a few people at least to, say, hey, let me actually do something productive in the future instead of just dwelling on that breakup, dwelling on, that situation that I don't really know what situation you're going through, but you get the point, right? But anyway, I guess that's about all for today's video. Sorry there's so many edits. I just keep messing up. My phone ran out of storage and crap, so yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I hope this video helps somebody. I hope it motivates you. I hope it makes you want to do something productive, to leave your past in the past, start healing, and if you haven't already healed, do something productive in your future. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and leave me a comment on what my next video should be about. And peace.